What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Market Talks here on Cointelegraph. I am your host, Tim Warren. I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. This is the show where every single Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time, at least, we go live giving you guys everything you need to know about the latest and greatest news headlines in the world of crypto and break them down with a special guest so that you can understand them better and invest wisely in them. I'm so excited about today's show. I'm going to be joined today by the wrong name. Julian. Julian is amazing, but I got the wrong intro for him. So give me just a second so I can pull this one up for you guys. Julian is a CEO. I gotta get to the thing. I'm so sorry about that, everybody. I got the wrong link up here. Julian, he's the CEO and co-founder of Cake DeFi, a highly intuitive online platform dedicated to providing access to decentralized financial services. He's widely regarded as the leading influencer in the crypto and blockchain space with over 1 million followers across all of his channels globally. He is also a best-selling author, and his vision is to bring blockchain awareness and understanding to 1 billion more people by 2025. Let's go ahead and roll Julian's clip. I do not know what happened there with my link, but Julian, what is going on, man? I'm so glad to have you here on Market Talks. How are you doing this morning?
Tim, awesome. Thanks for having me. Looking forward.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk all things Ethereum. Obviously, that is the biggest headline that everyone is worried about today. We've been waiting now for 4 years for the Ethereum Merge, and it has finally happened.
It feels way longer. It feels like 4 years.
Exactly. I haven't even been in the space for a full 4 years, but I remember having conversations with friends who were in crypto at that point, and I remember them talking about Ethereum coming out. They're like, "Oh yeah, Ethereum 2 is coming out very soon." And then, now I'm in the space. I'm like, all right, I'm still waiting, but it's here. It is finally here. The question, though, what happens next? I want to get your take on all of that, but let's just start off, Julian. How are you feeling about this Ethereum merge? What is your overall feeling about Ethereum moving forward at this point?
I think, first of all, really excited. I think big step forward, not only for Ethereum, but really the entire industry. With all the excitement, though, one has to say that Ethereum did strip away a lot of the features and a lot of the steps that were originally planned for the merge. But nevertheless, this was really like jumping out an airplane and changing the parachute basically along the way. So that was quite cool. A lot of people were waiting. What's going to happen to the price? Is the price going to pump? Is the price going to dump? Initially, the price did pump a little bit, then it kind of stagnated. Now, just as we're watching this live here, there is a massive sell-off, but that's not really crypto focused. That's really more coming from the general market. So I don't think that sell-off right now has anything to do with Ethereum. You see this across the board. I think right now, people are also going to be waiting a bit. What's going to happen to a potential proof of work fork, which is supposed to happen within 24 hours. I think there's still going to be a bit of some rumbling there. But other than that, for me, this is really bullish, especially a bit in the mid to long term. And I have stacked up a lot on Ethereum over the past couple of months. I was very public about that, and I'm glad I did.
You mentioned it a little bit right there in your answer, but let's dive a little deeper. You talked about how there were some other things that we might have expected. Not everything happened, but in case someone's watching this channel and they're not very familiar with all of the technology of Ethereum and what this move to proof of stake means, what are some of the big outlines of what this merge really means for the Ethereum space? Not just price action, but actual adoption and use case for the project.
Well, originally, some other things were supposed to be integrated in that kind of upgrade, and we can discuss those. But at the end, right now, actually, the user is not going to see much change, simply because transaction limits are not changed, fees are not going to be impacted much, throughput is not going to be changed. So there's not really anything massive that changed other, and that's obviously the big thing, that is the consensus got changed. Now, with that, I don't know if you want to pull up that dashboard that we discussed, ultrasound.money. One thing we will see, though, is that we're going to see quite some burn probably. So Bitcoin is becoming Ethereum is going to become deflationary. And yeah, they're having a dashboard where you can kind of follow that since the merge. So yeah, so far 184 ETH got burned since the merge. So that is probably some of the changes. Originally it was planned that the ETH would get unlocked right away. Now this what's called Shanghai upgrade is going to take another, we don't know, 6 to 12 months. So they did this to kind of remove some of the selling pressure there. So a couple of things, obviously, we're still waiting for. Scalability, nothing has changed there. Transaction fees, nothing has changed there. Throughput, none of these things. So that's still what we have to wait for. Do I think it was the right move to go this route? For sure. Otherwise, probably would be waiting another 40 years for that upgrade. And now this step is done, and now we can kind of reiterate. So I think it's the right move forward. But you as a customer, you as a user, you shouldn't be seeing much, to be honest. One key thing that I just want to highlight here, I really think there's going to be a lot of fake Vitalik Buterin's on Twitter trying to entice you to get this airdrop or that airdrop, to fill in your private key there or send your ETH there. Please, please, please don't get scammed there. This just brings back memories from the entire kind of Bitcoin forks in 2017. So just be uber careful there.
Yeah. Julian, I'm curious. One of the things that I think is really big, because as you mentioned, as far as fundamental operations, Ethereum didn't change a lot. Gas fees aren't going to get cheaper. They're not transacting any faster. The biggest thing is going to be the potential moving forward. And one of the potentials that has been put on the table that I think is very interesting is with the move of proof of work to proof of stake, whether people agree with it or not, it will be viewed as a more environmentally friendly project. Of course, that's one of the still things that's hovering above Bitcoin's head, is while most of us know is not a big deal, a lot of people act as if proof of work is still environmentally harmful. With us now seeing a move to proof of stake on Ethereum, what do you think the institutional and whale adoption of Ethereum will be moving forward for people who are conscious of ESG scores?
I mean, you are hitting the nail right on its head. I go to the World Economic Forum website. I mean, when you go to their website and you look for blockchain there, generally they talk about like any kind of environmental stuff, ESG, kind of solutions to certain problems, but there's no real talk about any kind of public blockchain. Except for today, for the very first time, the World Economic Forum talks about the successful merge and what this could mean for the environment and what this can mean for the broader ecosystem and so on. And that is a big deal. I've had a mastermind call today with high net worth individuals discussing what to invest in, how does this potentially affect this. Tomorrow, I'm having lunch, I'm having a coffee right afterwards, where all this is going to be the discussion with people who normally don't really talk that much about crypto. And I'm assuming this is going to happen all around the world. I see three main factors in this. The first one, we had discussed this, Ethereum is becoming deflationary. A lot of people call this ultrasound money. I don't really buy into that narrative as much. To me, that entire idea about money, I don't see Ethereum taking this away from Bitcoin right now, and maybe never. But again, the deflationary aspect may come in a little bit, and some people, some funds will buy into that. But the other two factors that are going to be so easy to sell is that ESG component, is that energy component. I mean, in Europe, in the US, this is such a big topic right now. And I don't see how a fund or a company right now can really heavily invest in Bitcoin with what's happening. They're going to get such a backlash. But with Ethereum, and then you're going to have the headlines, 99% of the energy now got dropped. But obviously, this is also a little bit of some fake news, because at the end, the miners just move on to other coins. But obviously, it's not Ethereum anymore. And that is going to be a big narrative. And the third one, and I really think that's going to be big, is that entire idea around staking. Suddenly, it's not just you buy a coin and you hodl it. Now it's you buy, you hodl, and you get cash flow on top of it. Look, our platform, Cake DeFi, we are a cash flow platform. We, for example, list coins, staking, and so on. I mean, we see such massive drivers, and we see institutions, we see obviously retail, anything that is very interested in that. So if at the moment I would have to bet $1,000 on Bitcoin or Ethereum, then at the moment the bet for me is very clear. It's Ethereum. That doesn't change. That doesn't take anything away from Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to stay that digital gold. To me, it's still the most censorship-resistant blockchain. None of that changes. But yeah, Ethereum just has a lot of momentum going for it right now. And I understand it doesn't look like it at the price at the moment. Yes, there was a bit of a sell-off just right now and over the past week. I get it. But that doesn't take anything away from the mid to long term.
I love that you kind of mentioned that right at the end, because that was my next question for you. This is a hard one, and this is hotly debated and talked about. What do you think about this move for Ethereum? And you use that word censorship. Other people will use the word centralized versus decentralized. Is the narrative that Ethereum just got a lot more centralized? Do you hold a lot of weight in that? Do you think that's true? Why or why not?
I don't buy that narrative at all. To me, that's a narrative that the proof of work fans are throwing in there. They're talking about how mining proof of work is so much more decentralized. Well, we saw that last year. We saw how China said, hey, listen, guys, we're going to ban mining. And bam, pretty much like Bitcoin hash rate completely collapsed by 50%. With that, the price, there was a lot of tumult. And now we see a lot of that mining power shifting to the US. We see that shifting to other places. Now the people bring up that Coinbase, or I saw the statistic today, I think about 40% of all the blocks right now on Ethereum either get mined at the moment by Lido or by Coinbase. So they are the two largest stakers. And yeah, people are like, oh, this is so centralized. No, there's no change or difference to proof of work. I know I'm going to get so much backlash for that from the proof of work fans. That's absolutely fine. There's just no difference. In case Coinbase would have their coins confiscated or would become rogue, guess what happens? The exact same thing as if a miner would be rogue. The community would just fork them out. In this case, it's just even more penalizing because Coinbase or whoever confiscates their coins would even lose all these coins. If you do this with proof of work, the miners can log on and can log on and can log on again and again and again to the network. We have seen this in the past. We have seen miners trying to attack the network coming together, forking those miners away, but the miners keep logging on. So I don't see this at all, that staking centralizes the network anyhow different than any kind of miners would do it. That narrative that proof of stake incentivizes the early hodlers. Well, guess what? Look at the miners. Who are the big miners today? Aren't they the same people that like got into Bitcoin super early and have made a lot of money and then just reinvested that? We see this left and right. Again, I'm not saying any of those things because I want to dunk on Bitcoin. The exact opposite. We're super transparent. The majority of our company treasury is in Bitcoin. To me, it's still the lowest risk asset. But if I would be investing in something where I want numbers to go up, where I want to make money, where I want to see stronger utility, to me, that's Ethereum right now. And that doesn't take anything away from Bitcoin. It doesn't at all. I always feel the Bitcoin fans, they feel that they get threatened by that. No, it's absolutely great. To me, it's actually a disgrace when I see some of the Bitcoin fans dunking on Ethereum and first of all, hating on Ethereum for the past couple of years that they're not ever going to get the merge done. Now they get it done, and now they're like, oh, it's not really a big deal. I don't know. To me, we should stick together way stronger. It's not a Ethereum versus Bitcoin. It's both. It's Ethereum and Bitcoin. Both have their merit, and I would love that this kind of narrative would be a bit stronger.
Julian, I could not agree with you more. I discussed that this morning, actually, with my viewers on Coffee and Crypto. I was like, we need to realize that cryptocurrencies should not be seen as enemies of one another. And I know that sometimes they have to compete, but in all reality, we need to realize we have a common enemy. And the common enemy is centralized authority, centralized currency, centralized power, and that cryptocurrency has the potential, even the ones that some people accuse of centralization, they're so much more decentralized than the current structure. We need to work together to have a complete revolution over the centralized power. So I couldn't agree with you any more on that one. I want to go ahead and start transitioning because a lot of fundamental things we've discussed here in the beginning of the show, but let's move into kind of what you were talking about there with price action. I know you said it's not to take away from Bitcoin, but here is how the markets work. Money flows a lot. Money flows out of one coin into stable coins into another. And I do think this next period is going to be one in which case we will see money be flowing into Ethereum. Really quickly, Adrian, can you go to my screen? I'm going to show the charts and I'm going to get Julian's take on it. In case anyone hadn't seen the charts this morning, we're sitting at a key level. I have the fixed volume profile put up here, and I want to hear your thought on this, Julian. But there's been a fat zone right here between about 1460 and about 2020 that we've been trading in here since about 18th of July. we're sitting at that key support level. If we can't hold that or even about 1360, we could be dropping down into a zone that we traded back in June and July between the levels of 1200 and about 1000. But for right now, it does look like bulls are holding up strong. Let's go ahead and transition back to Julian, go off my screen. What are your thoughts about price action, Julian, about this merge coming out, about those fundamentals that we just talked about at the beginning of the show? What are your expectations for price action, not only here in the next couple of days and weeks, but even macro over the next, we're talking the rest of this year, even into the end of 2023?
I think a lot of the Ethereum fans, just like myself, positioned ourselves in the Ethereum trade already ahead. So it was like buy the rumor, and then we were all scared that the news were going to get sold, but actually didn't get sold. What got sold now was just that entire CPI news from Tuesday and just that fear about Fed numbers and Fed rates and so on. So that is a very, very key distinction in all of that. I do think, though, that right now Ethereum is going to struggle a little bit because it's missing that extra fan base coming in right now. I think there's a lot of people right now on the sidelines who are just going to be waiting a bit, and they're going to be waiting. What's happening? What's going to happen to that proof of work fork? Or is everything working smoothly? So it's not. People are still a bit like hesitant. They don't understand exactly what to expect, and so whenever investors are confused, they lack that extra action. So, like what you showed at the chart, I wouldn't be too surprised if, especially over the next days, maybe even 1, 2, 3 weeks, we actually see weakness of Ethereum versus Bitcoin. So that's kind of the short-term horizon. So for me, short-term is days. So I'm not a day trader that trades by minutes or by hours. For me, short-term is days, maybe a couple of weeks. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some weakness there. But that narrative is strong right now, and people are preparing to come in. There are people who want to get exposure. That's going to take a little bit of time. That's not going to happen from one day to another. And so if you're talking to me about year end, so now we're talking weeks and months, here I see the exact opposite. I see Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin. We have seen this the entire year, actually. We've seen this the past couple of years. And that's what I'm just seeing at the moment. So talking price here, Bitcoin, and it's the mother, it's always going to set the direction. If Bitcoin is going to, it's right now trading under 20,000, that always sets a bad precedent for all the other coins. If Bitcoin actually starts touching the lows that it has in this entire cycle right now, which are like 17,500 or something, don't know the exact number, but if it goes there, again, I also think Ethereum is going to go relatively quickly, even to 1,000, and it's going to start touching its lows as well. If Bitcoin can actually hold the 20,000, and that's a key market, such a key market psychologically, if it can hold that very rapidly, Ethereum is going to earn back the 1,500, 1,600, and then quickly, in my opinion, we can see the 2,000 and even higher. That's going to be a very, very, very key kind of distinction here. I still don't think that Ethereum can dictate the direction against the dollar against Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin goes up, to me, it's very easy for Ethereum to go up. If Bitcoin goes down, it's very difficult for me for Ethereum to actually go up against the dollar. So we just have to be realistic here.
You know, we talked about some fundamentals in the beginning of the show. Let's take those fundamentals and bring them over, and some of my questions with how they'll affect price. Let's start with the triple halving, people are calling it. The concept that Ethereum's daily supply is dropped 90%, which is even stronger than what a Bitcoin halving is. Do you think that could have any effect very soon? How long do you think before that will take effect? Because while I agree that I think the demand is going to potentially continue to follow Bitcoin and move step for step, the concept of the drastic drop in supply in Ethereum should bring a price increase. The question is when. So if you ask the question, how long before that supply shock, that triple halving, how long before those fundamentals actually start to take effect on the price?
Sure. I mean, at the end, it's going to come down to how much of an impact is that, as you mentioned. And we have actually seen this prior already, where the burn was so strong that we actually have seen deflationary periods on Ethereum. So where more ETH got burned than there were created. So that's what really matters, right? So what truly matters here is not so much the halving in a sense where how many ETH get created. I'm sometimes saying Bitcoin because the halving always normally is associated with Bitcoin. So Ethereum. how many E's got created and then how many got burned. And that net effect is what really matters. So it doesn't matter if the inflation rate of Ethereum has dropped significantly. What really matters is inflation minus burn. Is that going to stay in inflation, or is this going to go into a burn? And we've seen on this dashboard since the merge, we have seen a small deflation. That's strong. I mean, that's definitely something that's going to have an impact. Maybe not right now, but especially over time. So that is a key aspect. But it's going to come down to how strong is that burn? Is that going to go into a strong deflationary effect? Then this can definitely be very, very powerful. If that doesn't, if the burn is not as strong, if people are not using it as much, if they are a bit more on the cautionary side, they're waiting a bit on the sidelines, this can happen. Then even if inflation has gone down, if like a triple halvening happened, that's not going to have that impact. So it will depend a bit. I would love to sit here and say, hey, that's going to have an immediate impact, but that's just not the case. Again, I think over the next couple of days and weeks, we see a little bit of Ethereum weakness against Bitcoin, and that's going to then turn around probably in 2 or 3 weeks. It's just the sentiment right now. Merge happened. Everyone is like, cool. So what now? They're waiting. Any issues? No. Okay, what should really happen? Should I feel something? No, it's still the same. And then that impact comes in.
Yeah. Well, I got a question. I don't even know if we even talked about this, but maybe you're not aware of it, and so I'll ask it and then find out if you have a thought. You know, we read a report yesterday that said that Ethereum actually at the moment has the most amount of shorts operating right now. Like, it's the highest amount of money shorts are paying to longs right now, which is a recipe traditionally for a short squeeze happening. Do you think those shorts can actually start to pick up momentum, or do you think that a short squeeze is viable over the next couple of days and weeks?
I mean, right now the shorts are winning, but not because of Ethereum, but just because of the entire market. So right now they're kind of building equity, if you want to call it. I'm not sure if there's actually a short squeeze right now, but I mean, definitely they're like dominoes. I didn't know that there was such a high amount of shorts sitting right now. In theory, you would actually have to say that they lost. I know that the market kind of played into their hands, but actually they lost. And it was a bit of a fear here, right? Are we going to see a strong sell-off on Ethereum? We didn't see it. The sell-off is coming right now, but that is over the entire market.
Yeah, and that's kind of my thought as when you're looking at where we are as price action. Again, when I showed you guys on the charts, we're at the bottom level of a higher zone. And the fact that we're having historically high numbers of shorts, to me, that is a recipe for a trader who's looking to make some money, because when you're trading, you're stealing money from somebody else. There's that much space on shorts happening. I think it's a very advantageous look for people who want to go long to steal some of that money from shorts. So it's going to be really interesting to watch that price. Let's move away from Ethereum just for a little bit, even though this will affect Ethereum's price. Let's talk about the market maybe as a whole, something you've discussed even when we're talking about Bitcoin, but we're going to kind of move it into some big factors, some things that will affect price moving forward. The power of the dollar. What is the Fed going to do with interest rates next Wednesday? What is your opinion about the future outlook for the market as a whole? And of course, with Bitcoin being its leader, what the Bitcoin price could be looking like leading into that Fed announcement Wednesday and then potentially the rest of September?
Yeah, that announcement is going to be absolutely key. I don't think necessarily the interest rate hike is going to be so key, because I do believe, I mean, people are talking about 100 basis points right now. I don't think that's going to happen. From everything that we see out there, it's going to be 75 basis points. What's the key thing, though? It's not going to be that 75 basis points. It's really going to be the signaling that Jerome Powell will set there. Does he mention that that inflation in August didn't drop as much as expected? Is he going to mention this? Or does he actually say, you know what, actually everything looks good, direction of inflation looks good, we stay course at the moment, and everything looks fine as planned? If he kind of says that, I think the market's actually going to rally relatively strong. And people are like, okay, the worst is behind us. 75 basis points, they front-loaded all the interest rates, just like they said they would. I think the biggest issue most crypto investors actually had was they heard what the Fed was saying, but they didn't listen. The Fed was actually very upfront over the past 9 months. You have to be straightforward there. The Fed always said, we're going to be aggressive, we're going to front load, we're going to raise interest rates. And people are like, yeah, that's what the Fed says they're going to do, but you know what? They're not going to do that. And then they did actually do it. And that's what I always think kind of surprised investors a bit. But it wasn't all too surprising. So let's see what Powell's going to come out with next Wednesday. That's an absolute key thing. The second thing, and that's very crypto specific, is what's going to happen to Mt. Gox and what's going to happen to those coins. It's very confusing in my opinion at the moment. I have a couple of friends who are waiting for big coins from Mt. Gox. How fast are they going to get released? Today's the 15th. The story was that, maybe today they're starting, or is it just that today you cannot change the allocation anymore? So this is going to be an absolutely essential part. Plus, and this brings us now back again to general markets as a whole, but this all ties in together right now. Quantitative tightening. The Fed is stopping, and today they're kind of spicing this up to buy back bonds. So they're just going to let them roll out. And we see this. Repurchase rates have gone up slightly. That's something that always shows that the market feels some tension there. And so all of this is, we see the effects right now. We see how everyone is super nervous. We see how everyone is a bit waiting. To me, the light at the end of the tunnel, and I hope that light is not an oncoming train, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And that to me is that we do have the midterm elections, I think 8th of November. And I would be super surprised if the current administration isn't going to do anything in their power to kind of settle the markets, have some kind of calmness in the markets again over the next 6 to 7 weeks. And that to me could actually be quite an interesting trading idea. Now, I would only use that trading idea if you actually believe that the current administration has the power to do so, that there's an interest for the Democrats to actually do that. But that would be the key trading idea here. Everything else, when you look at the fundamentals, doesn't matter if we're looking at stocks, even bonds, we look at crypto, all of that with the Fed, with rising interest rates, housing, we haven't even talked about real estate. All of that looks scary. And it all ties into, that the dollar strengthening. We've seen some weakening over the past 2 weeks, but now it's picking up again. That looks scary. And so there is this trading hope though. So, and that's also, I've been very vocal that I think that H2, the second half of this year, is actually going to be a positive half. So we're going to see higher prices at the end of the year than we saw at the beginning of this half. Still, we're going to see way lower prices than at the beginning of this year. But for me, this means Bitcoin above 20,000 by year end. With that, I also think Ethereum has very good chance to get to 2,000 and stay there by year end. And I know some of these numbers are not that crazy because for Ethereum, this means, okay, great. We're going to see a 30% increase. That's nothing. That's what we do on a good day. Sure, but a bit of different times right now. And so a little bit of different expectation with all that.
I'm going to even transition this a little bit. I'm looking, if you guys have any questions in chat, make sure you put them in there so I can ask. But my final question for you, Julian, is on the similar topic, but it's going to change direction here a little bit. Bitcoin, in its creation, in the fundamentals of what it was, and of course, cryptocurrencies following behind it are similar, really was built to be a risk-on asset. And what I mean by that is buying it during risk-on periods. This is right now, we're in a risk-off place. And so Bitcoin is following the stock market, is following the NASDAQ, the S&P 500. How long do you think before Bitcoin is treated the way it was created to be treated, is to be bought during risk-on periods and not just on the risk-off periods?
Yeah, fantastic question. I think it also has a bit to do with the change of utility. You look at the first couple of years, Bitcoin was truly used as a currency on the internet for nefarious reasons mainly, but it was mainly used there. And then there was this second kind of cycle between 2013 and then 2017 when Bitcoin really became kind of mainstream. That's when it kind of had to find its new kind of place. And it's struggling with that actual currency character at the moment. So before Bitcoin doesn't become an actual currency, but it stays this risk-on asset that has this additional feature of being a fantastic insurance if the entire centralized world kind of falls down. Until then, I just don't see that it will go back to that currency character. I know that So many Bitcoin fans say that Bitcoin is a currency. There's not a single thing in this world that's actually priced. I'm not talking that you cannot pay with Bitcoin. It's not priced in Bitcoin. There's very few things that are actually exchanged for Bitcoin. Store value, I mean, sure, long term, yes, but if you talk in months, you talk even in years, it hasn't been that good. So that's really going to take some time. Again, this doesn't take anything away from me, at least, for the actual utility that Bitcoin has. But for it to really become risk off, like, for example, the gold is or the dollar is, that really needs a lot of trust. That needs a lot of trust that whatever I want to buy with my Satoshis is going to be the same tomorrow. And today, that doesn't happen at all. Today, I don't know how many Satoshis I need to pay for the coffee tomorrow because the coffee is priced in dollars. So I don't know that. And so I would be surprised if in the next 10 years I see this. So I would say maybe after the 2030s, maybe. I cannot foresee what's going to happen in 10 years. But in the 2020s, I do not foresee that we will treat Bitcoin as a risk-off asset. We will treat it as a risk-on asset. It works fantastic at this. Plus, it has an additional side feature as a credit default swap against the centralized world. And that is, to me, also the no-brainer, why everyone, in my opinion, should have a few percent of their net worth in Bitcoin. And then if you want to invest additionally on top of that in crypto, then you need to get and actually look into the coins that have strong utility, that have good price action, that have good momentum. And I mean, that's why we're talking about Ethereum right now, right?
Yeah, so pretty much just wrapping that into a cleaner bow, at least 2, if not 3 more bull markets before we actually see that shift start to happen. I'm waiting to see if we have any questions in chat, but if we do not, Julian, if you could wrap all of this into one bow or even elaborate a little deeper, and you could leave someone with one final thought as to how to view the future of cryptocurrency and the market as a whole, what would that thought be?
Bitcoin is the digital gold it has always been. It is, to me, a must asset allocation of a few percent of your net worth because you want to have that insurance. I would, however, as we stand here right now, not put investment purchase power into Bitcoin. I would put that into other coins. I would probably look for coins that fit that narrative at the moment. Proof of stake, it is so strong. That is the allocation right now for me in crypto. I think right now is a really good time to be diversified. I think that's absolutely essential. It's just so uncertain. And that's I think that's an absolute key thing. And so that's probably how I would kind of circle that entire round.
Gotcha. Well, we got one question I see here in chat, and it is from, I don't know if I'm going to say this correctly, but Ratul Duta, I believe. What happens to miners now that Ethereum moves? Where do you expect that they will be moving to? I know there's a couple projects I've heard of like Ergo, even ETH Classic, but from your perspective, where do ETH miners go after the merge?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see that proof of work fork is going to have any merit. I just don't see that. I think that's not where the miners are going to go, and it's not where the users are going to go. So to me, that will be super surprising. They, at the moment, I mean, we can actually track that. At the moment, they all go into Classic and they go into Ravencoin. That's where they go and flocking to right now. Let's see what they're going to do afterwards. So, I mean, they will definitely do something. They will not just be idling around. But I would be extremely surprised if a proof of work fork of the current fork would actually work. So I wouldn't put my hopes in that.
Well, Julian, thank you so much, man, for joining me today. All of you guys watching the show, make sure before you leave, smash the like button here. If you loved this interview, if you love this content, smash the like button, subscribe to Cointelegraph for videos just like this. Then also, if you love Julian, make sure to go follow him on his YouTube channel, follow him on Twitter, myself as well. Go follow me on Twitter and my YouTube channel. And we're going to continue to work together to spread the good news of crypto to see it actually better this planet. I love each and every single last one of you, and I will see you next week. Same time, same place. Peace.